hobby friends, and welcome back to Paint Bravely, the podcast where you can find a little bit of encouragement, discover new ways to make your hobby more fun, and most importantly, learn to paint bravely. Now, I am feeling a lot better since the last time we recorded. Sickness-free, things are good, and we're going to talk about some fun stuff today. We got a lot of controversy coming into the studio this week. I've been hearing a lot of news about slap chop. Hopefully that didn't offend your ears. But we're going to talk about a little bit of that, a little bit of hobby, a little bit of lizards, a lot of lizards, I think, and some silly putty. Yeah, so Brent, you still painting lizards, huh?
Still painting lizards.
Months.
Still painting lizards, but I'm learning a lot about lizards. I'm learning a lot about how to paint them. I've been painting them a lot recently. But I'm going to start off with a hot tip of the day, and you've alluded to it already in the introduction there, Casey. Good introduction.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Silly putty.
Ooh, that makes a satisfying noise, when you did that.
Really did,
good.
didn't it? Okay, silly putty is fun. Many children learn how fun silly putty is, but it is a pretty good substance for masking. Not a great substance, but it is good enough that I'm going to present it as a hot tip of the day. And you have spent several episodes already talking about how good silly putty is and how you like to put it on your models before you do a little airbrushing on them.
That's true. Yeah.
But finally, I took your advice. I gave it a shot. And we have 2 thumbs up on this stuff. So 2 thumbs up on silly putty. 1 your thumb and my thumb. And 4 thumbs up.
4 thumbs. Yeah. How does that work? That Siskel and Ebert did 2 thumbs, right?
I don't know.
They both like thumbs up. All right. 2 thumbs.
I don't know. Oh, did you see that? Speaking of odd numbers of body parts, the Nobel Prize in Chemistry this year included Barry Sharpless, who not only is a brilliant chemist, he is also part of the safety briefing in terms of always wear your eyeglasses, because there was a time when he was going home for the night and a student said, like, hey, does this look right? And he held it up to his eye to see if it looked right, and it exploded. And so,
right, yeah.
So a lot of times there's the safety briefing, like the chemists who are famous because they're in every safety briefing.
Sure.
And then there's the chemists who are famous for winning the Nobel Prize. But Barry Sharpless,
he's got both.
Yeah, he's got it all covered. He lost an eye. He has 1 eye. That's what we were thinking. Thumbs. I've been thinking about the Nobel Prize in chemistry. Click chemistry. Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
So, silly putty is an excellent masking agent for when you're airbrushing.
I think so.
The one caution I want to present about this stuff is that it is a fluid. So if you make a ball out of silly putty and you are able to put it on your desk without immediately picking it up and playing with it, you wait 30 minutes, an hour, it's going to be expanding. It's going to be a silly putty pancake. It's just going to spread all out, have a flat bottom there on your desk.
Yeah.
And so if you're using it to mask your minis, be aware that mask is going to start drooping and melting.
Droopy mask, yeah.
There's a little bit of a time factor here. You mask your minis, be like, okay, this lizard has green skin. I got the green skin on there. We're going to mask that off. Spray in the gray armor. Just be aware that mask, droop. You got to work fast to get a couple of coats of that gray on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the advantage is, the reason why we like silly putty is that it has some firmness to it. It holds its shape for like a little while, few minutes. Yeah. Maybe half an hour, few minutes, half an hour, I don't know. 10 minutes? 5 minutes?
Yeah. Five, depending on how much you played with it beforehand. Because that's really the thing, right? Like if you get it straight out of the little egg, you kind of have to knead it a little bit, right? To get it going, to really be able to push down and conform and stick properly. But if you play with it too much, it will get droopy.
Yeah. So the reason why it is a good mask is because it does kind of stick to the mini without pulling the paint up with it. Like it is just the right amount of stickiness so that you can mush it over the lizard's green scales and not be worried that when you pull it back off that you're going to be pulling chunks of green with it. It's just a little bit sticky. But actually, now that we get talking about the temperature, probably makes a huge difference. So we've got some folks living in southern Spain, maybe, that are just like, nah, silly putty is not for us.
It's just pure liquid.
Yeah, whereas you got the northern Scots being like, yeah, silly putty, perfect. Every
after
time.
half an hour, yeah. Yeah.
So let us know in the comments below if you've used silly putty for masking your minis.
There are equivalents. Apparently, silly putty is kind of hard to get outside of the United States.
Oh, okay.
Which I wasn't really aware of, but that does make a little more sense why it's like $20 American to buy like the modeling putty for masking. So like I think like Green Stuff World has it and somebody else. Yeah, that's basically silly putty, but it's black. So that's the reason for that. Also, just because we're kind of on the same topic, I suppose, of things in America and things outside of America, we were talking about the tape measure last time, thinking like, why would you buy a tape measure, right? Like from Army Painter, from GW. Well, it makes a lot of sense when you actually start to think about it, and when enough people say, hey, imperial units aren't exactly standard on tape measures outside of the US. Right, that makes sense. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah.
We get it. We get that.
So there are people out there who their only option for a imperial system tape measure is to either import Army Painter or import GW tape measurers. Right? Yeah. Either something really cheap for a moderate price or something really cheap for a very expensive price, and then they go with the Army Painter one, and it just falls apart on them. And,
right.
And they're leaving reviews about shoddy tape measures, and it all makes a little more sense now.
Yeah,
Check out episode 68 for more on that, but this is episode 69, so we're moving on. I bought myself 4 little eggs of silly putty, but right next to it on the shelf was Elmer's goo. And my brain got fooled for a long time because I thought it was Elmer's glue.
Right.
I didn't know they made Elmer's goo. They just took the L out. Elmer's GUE.
I mean, it's good marketing, I guess. They're just like, it's goo, but it's like glue without the L. Oh, that's not a satisfying sound.
Don't buy this. Don't buy this.
It's just literally goo.
It's goo. It was right next to the silly putty. It was cheaper. I thought I'd try it. Maybe I'd have a real good hot tip for the day, but it's too liquid. It's too liquid, and it's glow in the dark, and it is glow in the dark, and it's keeping me up at night. So Elmer's sells a set
of goo making powder that you actually pour into Elmer's glue, and it makes goo, and it's really disgusting. It's awful, and I would never put it on a model, but it does glow in the dark, so bonus points for that.
This is the Night Owl edition. Elmer's goo Night Owl.
If you want to play with goo in the dark. Yeah, so Elmer's goo, not recommended for masking models. I think I can two thumbs down on the Elmer's goo.
Yeah, like Thomas Edison said, he's learned 100 ways not to make a masking goo.
Right.
One of them is Elmer's goo.
Oh yeah. No, don't stop touching it.
Finger trap.
That's awful. Yeah. It's a goo trap, yeah.
So what's new with you, Casey?
Oh man. I've been hard at work painting orcs for Orktober, as I do every year. It's been a good one though. I went for some of the bigger, more iconic orc models this year. Painted the Gazgul Threka from Games Workshop. That was a cool model. Had a really good time painting that one. And then I found, I think I mentioned it last time, I bought an Ork Stompa on eBay. and it was a mangled, disgusting mess. And it was filled with receipt rolls. I did find out. A lot of people were saying, no, those are 100%, those are receipt rolls. And like somebody had built like 20 receipt rolls in the chest of this giant like monster tank, essentially, to I think they were supposed to be guns.
Okay, I was gonna ask. Well,
yeah, that's what it seemed like. And
they had a reason. They definitely had a reason.
Yeah, and basically though, the entire model, it's like if you got a kit, right, and then you lost the instructions, and then you just kind of were like, okay, I'm gonna put this together the best I can, but then like you just decided to not put the parts where they actually fit together, like just on purpose. You consciously made the decision to not put it together remotely how it would even possibly fit on its own. So like if you never dry fitted anything, yeah, but from one kit. And in this thing we're just a ton of magnets, like really big, thick magnets. Like for some reason, I don't even know what it's from. It's like a 3-inch giant magnet. It's like a 1/4-inch thick too. Like it's thick, it's big, and there are a whole bunch of them stacked together like we're holding the guns on. So I see the ideas, right? I get what was happening. It's like, well, I'm gonna put some sweet guns out the front. I got these receipt rolls, I guess that's what I'll use. Oh, I want to magnetize the arms because there's options. Oh, I'm gonna get these like refrigerator magnets and somehow make that work. And on top of that, I think most of the glue on the model was like some kind of silicone. It's really like stringy and gooey.
Oh,
like it looks like caulking, like silicone is what it looks like. So yeah, just straight up taking a caulking gun to your Mini, right, with glue. And then some kind of Play-Doh as a gap filler. Because there are a lot of gaps, as you can imagine, not being properly assembled. So I've been cleaning off like crusty Play-Doh and clay or whatever it is, and weird magnets and receipt rolls, and I finally got it put together. And it's like I started painting it, so I'm feeling pretty good about it now. But man, this is by far one of the most obnoxious models that I've ever gotten to work on.
You paid $50 for that one, right?
$50, yeah, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, considering that the actual kit's like $130, $140, something like that.
There you go.
Yeah, and I'm missing a couple of small pieces, but I made up for it with other Ork kits, actually kit bashing stuff together and putting things together. Pretty nice. I built like a whole ladder and platform structure on the back of him, so little guys can climb up there and kind of hang out. It's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. But man, like it's been a lot of work. The thing's huge too. It's like I didn't realize how big it was. I mean, you've seen like a Warhound Titan. It's the same size.
It's a big one.
Yeah. It's a big model. Like 2 hands at all times. Big model. It's bigger than my head. Yeah.
Almost.
I'm holding it up to the camera for anybody listening who's not joined us on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/paintbravely the podcast, if you do want to see a video feed. But it's all good otherwise. Yeah, it's mostly what I've been doing. Just a lot of that. Yeah.
Well, we are recording here in October, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any, like, I keep thinking there's got to be other months, right? Like other themed months of things. Or is it just October? That's the only one that like alliterates well enough to get its own month.
I'm silent right now because my mind is cranking away.
January, space,
Lizardvember,
Lizard
Ember, Lizarduary.
I feel like
Lizarduary.
Yeah.
Lizarch.
No.
Lizarch.
That's not bad. No, that doesn't work. So, see that. I should have.
I guess we don't have to put lizard.
No,
well,
we really don't.
Lizards get a month. Lizards absolutely get a month. We just got to figure out what month is for lizards.
I mean,
but also kobolds. Hold on. Kobolds gonna work for something.
Should have a month.
Hold on. That sounds like a month. Coldtober. Yeah.
Kobold.
Kobolder.
Wait, that's just October though.
Kobolduary. Yeah.
Kobolduary. I like that. That's pretty good.
All right, folks. Make sure you have some kobolds ready for the new year. We are celebrating Kobolduary.
I feel like we're probably
month of the year.
Yeah. There you go. No, it's the short, right? Because they're so short.
I was going with January. What are you doing? February?
I was thinking February when you say it. It's like the
they both have
shortest month of the year, right?
But January plus February is just Kobolduary.
Okay, so 2 months. It's two straight months of just kobolds.
Yeah, I mean I've got some orcs that I'm working on, but I had to take a break to paint all these lizards, and it's probably not going to be till the end of October till I get back to work on my orcs, and that's why you need to have multiple months in a row dedicated to these events. I
mean, I wish there were more months dedicated to orcs.
People are busy. Yeah.
I honestly, like 1 month, man, like that's not enough time to be like, this is specifically for this like race of model, right? Because I mean, realistically, nobody's really getting an army done in a month, unless you're doing that fake. Okay.
Kobold summer.
Kobold spring. Yeah, they'll like do a quarter, right?
Winter of kobolds.
That's not bad. Kobold winter, yeah.
All of this is bad. Like it is a bad idea. All of this is a bad idea.
You're right. It's not good.
Kobolds are delightful little buggers, and you should absolutely paint them. And
that's true. And now you can get them at a discount. It's been a while since I've painted a kobold. Yeah. Actually, it's been quite a while. 10 months-ish? 9 months? I don't know. Whenever we painted those ones in Florida.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's how long it's been.
Yeah, there's a lot of people making nice 3D printable kobolds. You can get plastic kobolds. You can get PVC kobolds. A lot of options.
There are a lot of options.
CO kobolds, Cast kobolds.
Has anybody done that yet?
Yeah, Bones USA.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're probably pretty good then.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, I never thought I'd really say that about, Bones line, but now they're CO Cast.
How things change. Yeah.
Oh, I know, right? I do need to mention that I have been painting Goobertown yellow. So
you don't have to mention that.
I just did. Yeah. Liquitex muted pink as an undercoat for yellow. Makes that nice orange gradient. Yeah. Just thought I'd throw that out there because, seems necessary at this point. Like, people expect it, Yeah,
you got that joke in there, but no, for real, you were talking about the Liquitex muted pink as the undercoat color.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that actually is a pretty good method. Did you start with the Stynylrez Dull Pink primer? Or no, okay.
No, I went white, like under painting, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Through the airbrush, like not really a zenithal, but just kind of highlighting all of the panels, and then wherever there was black, I just kind of let the pink go from like the white to the black, so it was pretty dark. Because I really wanted separation in the armor panels and like kind of have them dark on the outside. So That was my thinking with that. And it seemed to work out pretty well. It actually looks pretty good.
Nice.
But there's not as much variation of like really nice bright orange from that other pink down to the dark orange. So
okay.
Yeah. A little less color variation overall, but
yeah. Anyway, the for those of you not in on the joke, one of the fun ways to paint yellow is to get some pinks underneath, some like a white to pink gradient underneath, and then to spray on a thin layer of yellow, and then you get some fun warm browny orange transition colors in there. And there's a couple of ways to get that pink to white transition, but actually one of the really good tools to do that if you have an airbrush is the ink called Dull Pink from Liquitex.
Yeah.
And that just, shoots nice and smooth out of the airbrush. Actually, that one does beat up a little bit, so you gotta be a little bit gentle with it. But if you're doing it right, you can get nice smooth coats out of the airbrush with that.
Yeah, I was down to like 15 psi, like really low. Yeah.
Muted pink, that's what it's called from Liquitex ink, and yeah, no, it's a good one. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I think those, I don't know, the paint combinations are always worth a good mention because, I don't know, you never know, right? When somebody's going to be like, man, I've been wanting to paint yellow, and today is that day. It's a revelation. Pink. Who'd have thought?
If you have an airbrush, but
that's true. Because otherwise, it doesn't work so good.
Hey, you don't have to have an airbrush to be able to do some fun stuff with undercoating. You know what I mean?
That's very true. That's very true.
Do it.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that slap chop. Because, I've been seeing a lot of things going around the internet lately. A few different people have been making some slap chop videos, and they are very popular.
Everyone.
Like 4 people. 4 or 5.
More than that.
6, 7, 8 people.
Every YouTuber has made a slap chop video, and I've watched them all.
Okay, well, I haven't made one, and you haven't made one.
Well, here we are, Casey.
Well, yeah, okay, fine. That's true. We're talking about it, and it's in a video, and that's probably the title of this video. So it counts. I get it. I mean, I have wanted to make a slap chop video because, like, it works. I did all of my Relic Blade. All my Relic Blade, I slap chopped.
See, all these people at home listening to us, watching us, and you keep saying slap chop.
I know.
But they don't know what it is yet. There's this whole world of people that they've just been hearing slap chop, slap chop, slap chop, but they don't know what we're talking about. What are we talking about, Casey?
Well, so it's a revolutionary, dare I say, brand new painting technique that was developed by Rob over at The Honest Wargamer. And I think he was the first person to make a slap chop video. He dubbed it the slap chop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So we're on track there. Essentially, you prime a model black, you dry brush it with some gray, and you let that dry. And then you dry brush the edges with a white, or a light gray, whatever, how you have. And then you throw some contrast paints over it. And that's pretty much it. You slap it, you chop it.
Yeah. Now, this is a method that, contrary to what you may have guessed from watching Rob's video, in Rob's video, he mentions that he went to see some Tibetan monks in Turkey to learn this technique.
Right.
And that's one place to get this knowledge before Rob shared it with everybody. But this is a common painting technique. There's nothing new here.
Right.
getting an undercoat on a model between black and white, whether that's a zenithal highlight or either with airbrush or with a rattle can,
mm-hmm.
or whether you're doing the dry brush technique.
Yeah, because it's really realistically what it is, right? You're just doing a zenithal and then catching the edges with a dry brush.
Yeah. So you get some underpainting going on, and then you put on either colored glazes or colored washes, and you get the values from the undercoat. You've got the colors from the glazes. It all works together well, and it actually does give a pretty nice look in a very short amount of time. And this technique has been around for a long time. Obviously, Rob didn't invent this, but he packaged it up in a nice little term called slap chop. And who knows why fads do what they do? Who knows why language does what it does? Yeah. But yeah, for years now, we've been describing this technique most commonly as underpainting or zenithal highlighting, followed by a wash or contrast paint or speed paint or a glaze or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's like a whole sentence to describe what you're trying to say.
Right.
Now you just say slap chop. Yeah, slap chop some minis last night. Yeah, I was getting my board game minis ready. I gave him a slap chop. It's come to the point where a good portion of the mini painting community that now conveys a lot of information. It's become a very efficient way to describe a painting technique. And I mean, we're joking about it as being a stupid YouTuber fad, but it just entered the lexicon now. It actually, it's kind of amazing, actually.
I mean, it kind of is, because it does really. I mean, because the name is stupid. It's so bad. But, like, I get it, right? Because it is what it is. So you're just slapping the paint on there. You're getting it on there. It's done. So, I don't know. Like, it works on a lot of levels. I kind of wish it wasn't called that. But then again, like, I don't know what.
Why do you wish it wasn't called that, Casey?
I wish it wasn't called slap chop. I don't know.
Yeah, what's the history there for the people who don't get the reference?
Oh, you mean what is actual slap chop? The terrible like infomercials at 2 a.m. with that guy that took over for Billy May. That
Vince.
It's like a little machine. Yeah, Vince something or other. I forget his name. Whatever. Offer. That's even worse. That's made up. Come on now. But it's a food chopper. It's like it's got blades and it's got a spring on it.
So I was reading the Wikipedia 15 minutes before we turned on the cameras here.
Right,
and
doing the research.
Vince was not his birth name, but Offer actually was. It was... Yeah.
Man.
He was...
That's
even worse. He was Israeli, and like Offer was his first name.
What?
Or I don't know, okay. But he moved to LA. He changed his name to Vince something.
It's like Vince. That's where it's at.
He started doing infomercials. He got popular with not only the slap chop but also the ShamWow.
The ShamWow was the big one for him. Yeah, it was a ShamWow guy.
Yeah, he was really popular for a while, and then there was sort of a fall to grace, domestic abuse.
Really?
You don't say. That guy. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, when we put some people up on pedestals, sometimes it's like, I don't know. He's a guy. He went to a thing. He did the thing, and then somehow it memeified itself. And
I think that's part of why the slap chop isn't the best name with the best associations.
That's kind of where I'm going with it. Yeah, it's just that there's a lot of history behind that term, and it's not the best. Now I get it. Like I said, I completely understand why it is what it is. So that's fine. But I'm not entirely alone on this. Like I don't have anything personally against it whatsoever. Like I said, I slap chop my fair share of minis. But a lot of people seem to have a problem with it. Like they take offense to the entire idea that this is a way that you can paint models. Even though, like you said, this is something we've been doing. We just called it something else. Right. And now, instead of 30 things that explain a thing, it's slap chop.
I saw some people getting upset about the packaging of this old technique, this common old technique, as something that sounds as if it's brand new, with the joke that Rob invented it after studying with monks in
right, yeah. Like that wasn't the that wasn't enough for them. Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
there's a joke in there. There's a
it.
joke in there. It's okay.
Right.
But hey, this is a technique that needed a name that was faster to say than do a zenithal or like dry brush some black with white and then put contrast paints or something like that over the top. It needed a better name. And if you wanted that name to be something other than Slapchop, you should have popularized a name other than Slapchop before Slapchop got popular. So you missed the boat on that one. Language is what it is. It does what it does. We have all kinds of stupid nicknames and abbreviations and
especially now. Yeah.
Right. Like Paint Bravely is just a longer way of saying YOLO. And YOLO is stupid, but YOLO is. YOLO
right.
is,
like people would get that if we're just YOLO the podcast. Like this
YOLO
is
the podcast.
Yeah. Eventually we'll
Paint Bravely is like 3 syllables, but YOLO 2 syllables is better. YOLO the podcast.
I see
YOLO
your
the
point
painting
there.
podcast. Yeah.
If you add painting, it's longer than at that point, but yeah, whatever.
YOLO Slapchop YOLO. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. That's 2 syllables, right? You're really hitting it real quick.
Non-metallic metal NMM. Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
And I think zenithal itself is one of those words that it just popped up probably as a result of Vince or Uncle Adam or one of those using that word and getting it in a popular video, and
pretty much
it just eventually hit critical mass, whatever critical mass is, hit a tipping point, and now most people in the mini painting community know the word zenithal and use it way too often.
That's true. I mean, if you zenithally prime every single model that you have.
Yeah, we needed a word for it.
Yeah.
Dark undercoat, but spray a lighter coat from above at like a 45-degree angle so that you kind of get a transition. Zenithal.
The son of.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Slapchop. Hold on.
Slapchop.
Gordon, go out. Hold on.
You're just going to shorten everything. That's wonderful. Well, Brent's going to take care of the cats once again. I got nothing to say while he's gone, though. Normally, I got something good, but not today. It's very unfortunate. Maybe you should leave a comment. Tell me what I should have said. That's a good way to do it. He's not even putting the headphones on because he knows I'm talking. Trying to get me to lengthen this episode out. Yeah. And that's how that was invented. Moving on.
I've been painting lizards, Casey. Been painting lizards.
I know. Man, it's crazy. It's like it feels like because I've been going through the move, finished everything, getting into the space, like we've just been doing the same stuff for the last couple weeks, and I don't know, man. Like that's a lot of lizards.
Yeah. So
when are you gonna be done?
The project is I'm getting these lizards ready for this big mini wargaming Dave 1-page rules, Monument Hobbies collaboration down with Cinecore Media. And we're going to go film a big old game with all these sweet cameras and stuff. And the game is in a couple of days, or I got to get in my car in a couple of days. And so we're at the point where I have 48 hours left to paint these lizards. And for the last 20 days, I've been doing this routine where I turn on my camera and I say, Day 1, I gotta glue these lizards. Day 2, I gotta prime these lizards. Day 3, I'm basing these lizards. And part of the joke is that I haven't shaved that whole time, and so that's the reason I'm looking so filthy right now.
Like on purpose. Yeah.
Like part of the joke is that I've just been spending weeks doing nothing but hanging out with these lizards, but. Yeah. It's not a joke. I've just been spending weeks hanging out with these lizards. Yeah.
Like your outward appearance is finally starting to reflect what's inside.
Haven't been responding to emails. Haven't been talking to friends in real life. Haven't been seeing much sunshine. Mostly just hanging out with these lizards. But the day draws near. We're 48 hours out. And
Right,
so
we can actually
this
count
army
down
of
now.
lizards is gonna be done. And so I'm sitting here kind of trying to plan out the finishing steps, trying to maximize the last couple of days I have left here to get this army looking good before it gets put under the bright lights with a nice cameras for all to see. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm at a point where all the lizards are assembled and textured, and there's paint on all of them. So none of them are done, but there's paint on all of them. And so I think I'm at the point where I need to lay out the whole army and just kind of go around and work on the worst ones and bring them up to par.
Bring them up to like 80%.
Yeah, and then go back and find the ones that are hanging around 60% and get those up. It's
right. Yeah.
It's like golf. The worst ones get to go next. That's how it works.
Yeah, right.
If you're lagging behind, it's your turn now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That makes sense. So how many models do you have in total, roughly?
It's somewhere between 40 and 50.
Okay, so literally the perfect amount to where if you didn't sleep for 48 hours, you could finish one model per hour. I feel like that's doable.
Oh, it's doable. It's gonna be fine. So the reason why it's taking a while is because I wanted to do a lot of black lining in this army.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been using actually all Monument Hobbies paints, a lot of really smooth paints, a lot of bright colors.
Mm-hmm.
But that line doesn't have any washes, and so partially that's a good excuse for me to just do some black lining. Tiny little brush, black paint, really get define things the way that I want.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, black lining takes a while, and so as I'm approaching crunch time here, what I need to do is just lay it all out. And there's definitely diminishing returns on some of those techniques like black lining. So just make sure that the color blocks are all looking good, and then use the last little time to add the defining lines in where I can. And once that time runs out, we're going to go play a game. It's going to be fun and don't need to worry about it anymore. But some of the lizards are looking good. Some of them are a little questionable. The whole paint scheme here is off-white armor.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like stormtrooper armor.
Sure.
Gordon wants to be let in, so I'm gonna go get Gordon.
I can tell. I feel like this is a good time to bring up the fact that Brent is painting all of these lizards without any washes. I think it's always a good idea to push yourself when it comes to painting to not use certain things. Like I know we've talked about it before. It's like, is it a crutch? Is it not a crutch? Like washes aren't necessarily that. They sort of are. But using your paints to deliberately paint in lines and to deliberately create contrast is a really good thing to practice. I'm very curious to see how these turned out because I don't know. I mean, how often you paint without using like a wash and using, like the normal step-by-step stuff that you would do. Yeah.
So, I mean, Monument Hobbies is just now making washes, but just in general, I've been getting more and more interested in not using washes.
Yeah.
Or it's a completely different style, really. Whether you want to be really deliberate with that sort of thing, your shading and dividing lines and stuff like that, or whether you do want to trust in the wash and YOLO and see what happens. But, yeah.
Well, like a lot recently, especially, probably the last like 10-ish like humanoid faces that I painted, I have 100% not used wash because every single time that I use wash, it's always like, man, I wish this was like sharper and more defined. It's like I got this stuff done really fast, but it just doesn't look how I want it to look.
Yeah.
But ever since I started painting faces without using wash, it's like, holy crap, like this is actually like good.
Yeah.
Like when I look at it, I go, all right, okay, this is where I'm trying to get to, right? Like this is the next level.
Right.
It's been like a huge big deal for me, like not to use washes on faces.
Faces especially can be so frustrating. I think of the eye sockets in particular. Like if you're washing a face, if one of the eye sockets gets the perfect amount of that red-brown wash in the socket, and then the other one, all the wash just runs out down the cheek,
right?
And you just keep dabbing at the second eye socket there to try to make it look anything like the first, and then you start, it's drying and the wash is tearing, and then
it's not good. You've ruined it. You just ruined it. Yeah, it's so hit and miss, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you deliberately paint everything on, it takes longer, but you have the opportunity to get it the way that you want. But yeah, I feel like the paint scheme that I'm doing with these lizards is a little bit high risk, high reward kind of style. Because first off, painting off-white as a major color can be tricky, and so I've done some of these models in two different ways. So either spray them all with this really light gray as like the first color that I put on the mini, and then that assures that you get a smooth coat of this off-white. Or the other option is to spray the mini some other color and then to paint on with a brush the off-white color, and white can be tricky to paint. Monument Hobbies has this bright neutral gray that I really like, and with two coats, you can make a solid coat of gray. But even then, it's close enough to a lot of other white paints where it's just a little bit chunky after a couple of coats.
Yeah.
And so you do get a little better finish if you spray it on. But if you spray it on, you might not have the opportunity to spray some sweet teal transitions for the lizard skin. So it's an interesting trade-off.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, I don't know, just white in general, and especially if it's like the focal thing, right, for each of your models, for across the entire line of all the models you're painting, it's like really need that to be smooth, like especially too the cameras that they're using, like they're gonna be getting in pretty close. We're gonna be seeing some real high quality Goobertown paint jobs, like some high quality
images of Goobertown paint jobs.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
I didn't want to take away from your paint job. I'm just saying. But I mean the striking colors, also make sense that you'd want those to be really good, because probably you're gonna see that first, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're just looking at them on the table, that's what you're gonna see first. I would think that. Just making up my mind literally in this moment, I think I would go for the colors simply because that is the first thing you're going to see. Like the white armor is technically secondary, even though it unifies all those different colors. So a little bit of chunkiness, like, okay. Like a Pro Acryl especially is pretty good for whites and grays.
Right.
So like at least you're in good hands as far as those colors go. You're given the best possibility to get that right.
I'm really interested in the idea of the trade-offs that you make, the forks in the road in mini painting, and the most obvious one is what color do you prime your mini, because that's going to make some things way easier and going to make some things way harder. And so on the example of these lizards, white armor, bright colorful scales. And either with an airbrush or with a rattle can prime, you can make one of those really easy for yourself. Only one.
Right. See, if it were me though, I would go in and I would literally underpaint everything, like do a zenithal and then focus on things with white ink. As okay, I'm painting white armor, so let me focus on the armor and kind of do some transitions. And then I would definitely YOLO with the paintbrush or the airbrush, and I would paint around the armor with an airbrush. Yeah. On all the skin, and then come back in and just touch it up.
So I actually kind of did three different ways. The geckos were airbrush on the turquoise scales and then paint on the white armor. The Gators is when the silly putty came in, because I did try to YOLO with the airbrush to airbrush both the armor and the scales with a little bit of cleanup with a brush, of course. And then with the Saurians, those I just straight up airbrushed on the white, came in with my brush for them sweet purple scales.
Sure, yeah.
It depends on the model. But yeah.
It does. I think for an entire army though, like especially if I'm batch painting something, or like in your case you have 48 hours to finish, I think I still probably would have just been like, this is the way I'm doing it and I'm sticking to it and I'm going to make it work. I don't know. It's like the repetition of doing the steps, right? I've written out these steps and I'm going to follow those, like ends up at least feeling like you have time at the end to fix mistakes rather than like having to change the way you're doing it twice during the process. But I mean, it also depends on how much time you have too.
Just trying different things and seeing how it goes. So partially, it's also how much advantage do you get with the airbrushing onto the scales. So for in the example of the geckos, I wanted to do a purple to blue to turquoise transition, which looks really good with the airbrush, but it's harder to do with a paintbrush.
Yeah.
So I decided to, the thing I'm doing with the airbrush, scales on those. But for the Gators, just did a darker green, and then you got most of the highlighting done actually with a dry brush.
Sure, yeah.
And actually for most of the lizards, it's just been getting a darker base coat on with a brush, and then using a small dry brush to get a brighter highlight on, and yeah. But if I wanted to do a serious transition, then it's a choice. Yeah. But yeah, every choice you make makes some things easier and some things harder, and you gotta plan these things out, have a strategy, or at least be aware that you're giving some things up when you're going down some of those roads.
How many test models did you do?
So that's something I want to do when I have probably more models as test models, as extra prints, as lizards that didn't make it into the army than I have the actual lizards in the army. And partially that's just because I wanted to print dinosaurs, because I just have a bunch of prints of dinosaurs that aren't making it into the army.
Right.
But also, I mean, I legitimately probably have 15 test models that I put some serious effort into just playing around with these colors.
Yeah.
Again, it's just a high-risk paint job because I have so many different colors in this RV, and I want them to look good together. I don't want them to clash. I think some of them actually do look really good together. Some of them I'm a little less sure about, but that's why I want my final 24 hours especially to be having the whole army out in front of me and then going, this doesn't quite look right. You know, if I add a little more like dark gray or red accent color or whatever it is, just to try to bring it into the rest of the force.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll let you know how it goes. It's it's up in the air right now, but yeah.
We're gonna see it in all of its glory.
Ooh.
I'm looking forward to that though. The way that I usually fix that problem, I like to call them problems, like those forks in the roads, like you're solving problems as you paint, and you're like, well, what am I going to do? I have to do A or B. Like, you need to problem solve this thing, right? To fix consistency between models that are not the same color, I always just pick a common item and make it the same color. So like generally I'll go with swords. I'll do like, magic sword effect on all of them. And that way when they're on the table, it's like, holy crap, I see all that bright green, tipped with white. All those swords are looking, super nice. And it brings pretty much any model into that thing. It's like, well, they can be one-offs even. It doesn't really matter. And it just makes it cohesive. So that's always a good way to go.
Yeah, I'm getting red and orange energy things in there. Energy
Perfect.
shields, energy weapons, power cords. Yeah.
I like it.
I hear you. I hear you.
Oh yeah. But I like that. I think it's a good way to go. And red should look good with all the colors you're using too.
Yeah.
Should look good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was part of the strategy, is to save a couple of colors as being common colors. That's why they're all the same light gray armor, having a dark gray for a little extra variety, and then a little bit of red as accent colors on the armor or for power weapons and stuff like that. But there's some high level strategy here, but down in the trenches, we'll see how these lizards turn out. I'm on. As I talk to you, I'm on day 20 of me turning on the camera and saying it's day 20. Today I turn on my camera and it says day 20. Working on this Tyrannosaurus Rex. That was my sign in for the day. Yeah.
That's your sign in for today. You're stroking your mustache.
Yeah. If I edit that up, it's going to be like, oh man, he's looking filthier and filthier and
every day.
More and more
for
stressed.
22 days.
Yeah.
Oh man. 22 days to paint 50 models.
I had to assemble them too, put them on little bases, plus like I assembled an extra 50 for no reason, and for test models and stuff.
I can see that. So you really tripled your workload here, and now you're paring it down. So that's how this is going. Yeah. I mean, that's actually a problem that I find with 3D printing in general, is like, because I end up printing out more than I need, or it's like, oh, well, this thing doesn't look exactly right, or something went weird, so I'll just reprint that. Yeah. And then I have a model that's like still perfectly paintable. It's still fine. Yep. But maybe like the foot is kind of tilted a little or some stupid thing, So I'll always end up with like 20 extra of whatever the thing is that I actually want. And like, I don't know. It's like, and then I don't want to get rid of them because they're still models, right? That they fit into this thing that I'm doing. I don't know. Like it really hurts.
Double-edged sword. It really is. Because I really do appreciate the ability to just have a model that I know I don't care about, that I can just coat with multiple layers of paint just to see how it looks, to give stuff a try, really be a test model. But yeah, there comes a point where you're like, I snapped off the foot. I could glue it back on, or I could print the model again. Or
I could print it again. Exactly.
And then you go to set up the print tray, and you're like, better print like 4 of them in case I break off any more
just
feet.
In case. Yeah. Like in case you break it, or like I always have that thought in the back of my head, like, well, what if it's not 100% level and it this left half just fails, but the right half is gonna work. Like, man. It's so stupid.
It is. It is.
Now, I went through a good stint like a month ago, 3D printing. I was printing every day for like 3 weeks. And since I packed everything up and I cleaned out the vats and I cleaned the printers to move, I literally haven't even plugged them in. I'm just like, I'm not touching those. Like, I'm not going to do it.
It goes in spurts, dude. It really does.
Oh, yeah.
If your printer is up and humming, get some stuff done. And then if it's not, paint what you've already got. Yeah.
Well, and isn't that the truth, right? Like, I don't need a 3D printer to get more models. Like, I already have models. I have many, many models. Lots and lots of models. I shouldn't even be buying anything on eBay. Like, I technically have like hundreds of models that are from eBay or from people who are just like, well, this is basically garbage, but you can have it. And it's like, okay, all right. It's like,
cool.
I don't know. Yeah. Too many.
Look, when I'm done with this, I'll get a picture of my nice army all looking good on their bases and everything, and I'll get a picture of the pile of other lizards, of half-painted lizards.
Like, here's the army, isn't it great? Here's the test
Yeah, here's the rejects.
All the rejects and everything else, like in case you were wondering if 3D printing is the future. Yeah. Oh man. I'm still wanting to print out those 1-page rules though. I gotta get there. Gotta do that.
Man, I've got 47 hours to paint lizards, and then the last hour, I'm going to really study that 1.5 pages of rules just to really make sure. Yeah.
You should, yeah. Playing a game, it's on camera. You really should, yeah.
I got to beat Dave.
I mean, okay, I'm going to call it. And maybe this actually might be pretty good. Like, this... If you're still listening at this point
taking bets. Yeah, I'm playing Mini Wargaming Dave, who does battle reports every day of his life for the past 10 years. You know me, I don't really play many games. I complain about them sometimes, often.
But this is 1-page rules.
Yeah. This is in
simple. 40K.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have to know everything.
No. I stacked my list with all the best lizards. Dave doesn't have lizards, he's got demons.
Come on.
He's short-sighted. He's got one thing on his mind. He can't get away from demons. But I've got lizards, because lizards are the best. And I'm going to read that 1.5 of rules, and I'm going to roll really good. And Dave's going down. I think
so.
Yeah, I think I have the lizard gods on my side this time. This time for sure.
This time, yeah.
So take bets. Who's going to win the game?
Well, I'm
Goobertown Brent or Mini Wargaming Dave. What do you think, Casey?
Team Goobertown for sure. Yeah. Of course. Come on now. That'd be kind of a dick move to be like, though, Dave he knows how to roll dice. Sorry. That's how it is. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I understand the maths. I get it.
Yeah, but I got geckos, I got gators, I got saurians.
Right.
I actually had to cut the Triceratops from my list, but I do have a Tyrannosaurus Rex. I've got raptors.
Okay.
I'm not actually sure what this one dinosaur is, but he has rockets all over his back instead of spines, and that seems cool.
Rocketsaurus. Rocketsaurus.
Rocketsaurus. Yep.
Obvious, yeah.
Yeah. So, that's going to about do it for me.
It sounds like you got it in the bag. I think it's fine.
Yeah, when this episode comes out, I'm going to be in Pennsylvania, and I'm going to be playing against my buddy Dave. Or I think, actually, the day this comes out, we're getting our cameras all set up. But then I'm going to be playing against my buddy Dave.
Yeah. You're going to be talking about it. You're going to be... let the trash talking commence.
Yeah, actually, I haven't met Dave yet, but not in person. But I hope we're going to be buddies, because we're rooming together. Well, I'll let you know.
I can't imagine it would go horribly wrong. Like, he seems like a pretty nice dude.
He seems pretty chill. We'll see.
Yeah. That's good, though. Well, it should be a fun trip, and I imagine that next episode of Paint Bravely, you're going to let us know what happened and all about it.
Yeah, but then we'll just be done with lizards for a while, okay? Can we be done with lizards after that?
That's probably a good call. Yeah. I mean, the Space Gaming are coming out pretty soon for 1-page rules, so I'm probably going to boot up the printers for that. I'm going to be running... I don't know if I'm going to just do 2 of the big ones or get out the 4, the 2 little ones, and really, really pump out those rats. I don't know yet. But I'm excited for that. Yeah. Well, anyways, thank you again for joining us on another episode of Paint Bravely. If you enjoyed this podcast, please help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and sharing this message with your hobby friends. As always, we appreciate each and every one of you for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
Talk to you next time.